Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Brian's Table Talks in our 11th episode. Hal's here helping me, making me laugh a little bit. So, recently I talked to you about opinions, and everybody's got opinions, and we talked about that and favorite colors and favorite songs. Well, today I wanted to do something a little different, but not so different. I want to talk to you about truth. Now, we all think we know what the truth is, and there's a couple of things I want to talk about before I launch into where I'm going to go. First off, in John chapter 18, there's one of my favorite passages in all of Scripture. Jesus is talking to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. And, "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" responded Pilate. What is truth? That is perhaps my favorite question in all of Scripture. What is truth? Interestingly, it's offered by Pilate, who many people consider to be a bad person. Well, anybody who's been around me knows I like to play with words, so I went and looked up the definition on Google of truth. So here's some definitions for true. The true or actual state of a matter, conformity with fact or reality, a verified or indisputable fact, proposition, principle, the state or character of being true, an obvious or accepted fact. Now, those all might sound pretty commonplace to a lot of us. So I'm going to tell you a little story. There's a scientist from the 1800s, Giovanni Schiaparelli, who one day was looking through a telescope, a primitive telescope, at our neighboring planet Mars. And as he looked through this telescope, he drew a picture of what he saw. So imagine, if you will, a planet laid out, not in a globe fashion, but on a piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, he drew what he thought were canals, waterways. And for a long time, he held, and many people believed in, that these waterways were made by Martians, by people, because that's what they saw. So for many, that was an accepted truth. Now, we know today that there are no canals on Mars. It is speculated that what Schiaparelli was seeing in that telescope was actually a reflection of the blood vessels in his eyes. However, what you find is the idea that that clearly was not true. Many people forever thought the world was flat, and they accepted it. It was an accepted truth. The world is flat. We know that is not the truth. The world is not indeed flat. So when we say we know what's true, that always comes with a little bit of a caveat. For the moment, and I think my buddy Hal's going to agree with me, 1 + 1 = 2. That's a truth. So there are certain scientific things that we understand. But in history, there were certain scientific things they understood. So the idea of truth does take on a lot of connotations. There are those things that are verifiably true. And then there are those things that are called subjective truths. Texas A&M was the best school I could have gone to for me. That is not necessarily true for everybody else. And we're faced with that kind of a dilemma in the world. We often hear things. Somebody will tell us something, and it sounds like it's a good thing, good piece of information, and we hang on to it. That doesn't necessarily make it true. I would argue, and I do like to argue if anybody knows me, that part of seeking truth, and I think Pontius Pilate asked that question, what is truth, is part of taking information and continuing to explore it, testing it, putting it through all the what-if scenarios. The Almighty gave us the gift of our senses, touch, eyesight, smell, hearing, so that we can engage with the environment around us. We were never meant to sit back and accept what comes our way. We are meant to explore, to question, not so much to doubt, but to seek, as Pilate said, what is truth. It's a challenge today that is perhaps unprecedented in human history. In our hands are these smartphones with access to the internet and seemingly endless amounts of information. And I don't particularly believe that everything we find is wrong or bad. I do believe that when we find something, we are called to challenge it, to research it, to ask questions. Somebody tells me a conceivable fact, I'm going to ask, where does that come from? What's your source? If they say, well, that's what I think it is, well, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But I'm going to go and search for more information on it. As a pastor, I believe the teachings of Jesus and that Jesus is Lord is true. That doesn't mean I don't continue to study and seek. So far, my search has concluded those are indeed facts. That doesn't mean that I don't keep reading and exploring and asking. Trust me, God is big enough to take all of our questions. The question is, are we big enough to ask Him? My friends, there are many things that we accept as true, and that's fine. We have to have a starting point. But never, never stop asking and seeking and verifying. That's how we find out the world's not flat. And unfortunately, I am sad to report, Marvin Martian is only a cartoon character, not real. So tell you what, until we come together in another week or so, I want you to have a great, fantastic day and savor every moment as a gift from God. Have a great one, friends.